Happening, guys? Hope you're all doing well. What's the file name? Yeah, I think someone said to make the file name like I have bloody no idea. If it's not on there, what's not on there? AV Con Station 1. Ocarina of Time. Duck. Alright. So the file name incentive we've got is Duck. Obviously we couldn't have another word, but you know, gotta be family friendly and whatnot. Alright, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, welcome everyone. This is Ocarina of Time, and the category is called MST. The MST actually stands for Memes, Sweat, and Tears. No, I'm just kidding. The actual name for this category is Medallions, Stones, Trials. The idea is that you have to get all the medallions from the adult dungeons, all the stones from the child dungeons, and do all the mini rooms in Ganon's castle, which we call trials, that dispels the barrier, and then we go fight Ganondorf and Ganon. I like to say that this category is like 100%, except you don't have to do all of the boring stuff. So it's actually a really fast-paced run. We actually do visit every single dungeon in some form and collect the medallion or the stone at the end. Chat says there's echo. How much of an echo is there? There was no echo when Mike was... Apparently there's an echo nay. How bad's the echo, guys? Quite a bit, they said. We'll fix that. Yeah, adult dungeons, adult temples. Take your pick. So this category just starts off with Navi visiting the Deku Tree, flying off, and go from there. Just fixing up some audio issues, and then we'll get stuck into it. So we'll be basically going through 2 of the child dungeons at the beginning. We actually do a fair few things out of order. And I'll point those out as we go along. So out of all the categories that we've done, or out of all the categories that exist for Ocarina of Time speedrunning, this is the category that's actually hasn't changed much in terms of a rule set. Like the routes and the strats and the tricks that we do may have changed, but in terms of the rule set, this has been like one of the most old school ones. It's easily my favorite category as well. It's also really stressful, but heck, it makes for a good run. I guess the first things first is people always ask me why we played in Japanese, and I often joke with them that I'm omnilingual, and then they believe me somehow, but no. In reality, we use Japanese because it's faster. The text speed is faster. You can say a lot more for less, so it just makes it more ideal for a speed run. We actually don't need to read anything physically. Oh, I just realized something. We have to start over. I'm using the wrong file. Slight intermission, guys. My apologies. We're using the wrong file. It's alright. It's okay. We just used the wrong file, that's all. Give me a sec. I may have... Nintendo, you don't see this. It's completely legal. I think we're good now. We just have to start that over. It gives me time to explain stuff again. Sorry, I have to reset the timer, I think, possibly. No, man. Okay, it's a penalty. Let's go. It's a penalty. All right. So what happened was I was using a practice file that has codes enabled for easy practice, and I just forgot to turn those off. The reason I could tell is I had a red button. All right, let's do this again. So we're gonna cop a penalty, but whatever. Who's the hunk on the left? Who's left? So yeah, sorry about that, everyone. We're just gonna have to start this intro scene again. Another joke that we get in the Ocarina of Time speedrunning community is how many times we've watched this intro. I actually have no idea, but the intro goes for about 3 minutes, so I guess you can estimate if you do 2 attempts per day, you know, that's 6 minutes over the course of a week. That's like 40 minutes. So you could easily have watched this cutscene for up to like a whole day, depending on how long you've been speedrunning this game for. So we have to watch this again. I do apologize. As a, I guess as a slap on the wrist to me, I'm getting a time penalty of 4 minutes, but whatever, who cares? It'll make it more interesting in my opinion. Is this a new route? Yeah, Maury, it's a new route. So yeah, my estimate for this run is 2 hours and 30 minutes. My personal best is 2 hours, 10 minutes, and 38 seconds. And that's been haunting me for like over 3 months now, because my goal is to get under 2 hours 10. It's a pretty big milestone for anyone who runs this category. But I've just hit a mental block, so I've put the estimate high just in case something goes wrong, like what happened just then. Something else to note about this game is that the file name can be up to 8 letters long. We normally make the file name only 1 character long, because each file name that's more than the 1 character long, you end up wasting frames in this game. So this game runs at approximately 20 frames per second. So from a 1 file name to an 8 letter file name, every time you see Link's name, you waste up to 7 frames. So on a 20 FPS game, if you see your name 3 times, you end up wasting a whole second. It may not seem like much, but for really short categories, like any percent, which is only like 17 minutes, every frame counts. But for us, it's a marathon. I often just come up with meme file names for my runs anyways, because why not, right? So we're back at the start. I do apologize for this, but we should be fine. That was for you, Astri. That was for you, man. You reckon I can still world record? Someone said in chat. That's not likely. Well, okay. World record for this category is 1 hour 57 minutes. So it was absolutely insane. For the longest time, we weren't sure whether or not this category could get under 2 hours, and then a few of the top 3 runners just kept pushing it. And then when one of them broke through, I think one other guy ended up just following him. So it's pretty insane how much this category has evolved. Okay, so first up, Saria has a nice conversation with us, but we're just going to completely ignore her and ditch her. So as you'll see, I'll be backwalking and rolling and side hopping a lot throughout this run. Because of the way the game is coded, it's actually faster to use a combination of backwalking, rolling, and side hopping throughout this game. A general rule of thumb is that if the distance you have to travel is a straight line, and that straight line is more than 4 or 5 rolls, then it's better to turn around and backwalk. Otherwise, just do the rolls. But if the place you have to get to is a bit more of a curve, it's better to just roll that distance. That way you don't have to keep turning around and changing your angle. So the first thing we're going to get is the sword, and now we're going to go buy a shield, because we're actually going to exit the forest pretty early. So what I'm doing here is just collecting some of the rupees that I'll need. And these are all planned, by the way. Like, none of it is like, you know, just sort of just YOLOing on the fly. Thank you, Para. I don't need that 4-minute time loss. So I'm just collecting a few rupees here now. We're going to get a rupee up on here on the bridge. That's called bridge clip. That is technically not a glitch. All you're doing is just jump slashing at a very precise frame, and then Link's animation, because the jump slash puts him up like ever so slightly, you clip on top of the bridge. And that's technically not a glitch. That's actually used in the quote-unquote glitchless category. So we're going to buy the shield now. Normally, what you would then do from here is go visit the Deku Tree, except we are going to exit the forest fairly early. So I'm going to see if I can pull this off for you guys. If I don't, it's fine. We've got other ways to get around it. Okay, so that's called a water extended super slide. I've just got a ton of backwards momentum just to reach this area. And then we are going to do something called Pokey Escape. So normally this guy like blocks you and he's like, nah, I'm not going to let you through, but we got through anyways. So that was something called Pokey Escape. It uses a glitch called ISG, Infinite Sword Glitch. How that works is that you're interrupting a crouch stab, and when you interrupt a crouch stab on a specific frame, the game registers Link's sword to be active every possible frame. But ISG also gives you some really weird physical mechanics, and if you basically go near that wall like I did, crouch stab to get ISG, and talk to Pokey at the same time, it clips you through at a very precise angle, and that's just enough to squeeze past him. So yeah, this is the first sequence we're doing out of order. We're just getting the Ocarina. We'll be needing this throughout the run in some way, shape, or form. So you bid Sari a farewell and proceed to never see her again. Funny thing, if you trigger this cutscene as adult Link, which is possible to, that part where Link runs away, the adult model actually crouches down to be the same height. So it looks like his knees are like buckling under him. So now we're entering Hyrule Field. And what we're doing here is we're going to go to Kakariko Village to get a bottle. The bottle is easily one of the most game-breaking items that we have, and we're going to be taking advantage of that a fair bit. So we're going to have to talk this owl, unfortunately. There are a few ways to skip this owl. As long as Link is in what's called a busy state in the game, no NPCs will be able to interact with you. There's a few ways we can achieve that. We'll actually be doing that coming up. Because there's an owl right here, which I have no way of avoiding. But there's an owl right outside of Kakariko Village, which I will avoid. So what I did in Kokiri Forest to get to the wall quickly to do Pokey Escape, I did something called a WES, a Water Extended Super Slide. So what that is if you get backwards momentum from a bomb or a jump slash through the water, and you hold a very precise position on your controller, which we call ESS position, you're able to maintain all that backwards momentum. Like this. So this maintains all your backwards momentum. The good thing about this is it also makes Link busy, and when you're in the busy state, you can't interact with any NPCs, and there was an owl right above us, and we skipped him. A lot of things we do, we just tend to do it because we want to skip like an NPC talking to us. Plus it looks cool. So we're going to collect these cuccos to get a bottle. There's actually 4 bottles you can get throughout this game. The first bottle is by collecting all the cuccos here in Kakariko Village. The second bottle is by waking up Talon, going to Lun Lun Ranch, playing the cucco game, and getting a bottle with milk in it. The other bottle we can get is by going to Lake Hylia after getting the silver scale and getting the letter in the bottle, which we give to King Zora. And then he sort of scoots past the letters through to go do Jabu Jabu's belly. The 4th bottle that we get is by collecting all the big Poes as adult. But because of the way we've routed this is the most viable bottle to get. Now these chickens movements are actually randomized. But there is like some sort of way we can control them. Based on where we throw them when we pick them up, they actually move away from Link. So as long as we throw them in like semi-precise spots and move in a very like kind of precise way, we're actually able to bundle them up together and collect them all in groups. So that's what I did there. I got all 4 of those cuccos fairly close together, and hopefully they didn't like run away. These guys can be fairly annoying, but once you do them enough, you get used to it. This is actually a fairly good sign when someone starts out speedrunning, whether or not they've picked up like the game mechanics or not. Generally, like, people can learn a bunch of new tricks and improve their times, but if their movement is pretty like subpar, it can really cripple them, and I've actually had that problem for a very long time. My movement in this game is actually pretty dodgy, but I'm trying. So yeah, we're gonna get these cuccos now. And another way we can make them sort of like speed up is, I'll show you this. Normally you don't want to do this, because I'm sure you've all had nightmares playing as a kid where you've damaged these cuccos too much and they just go absolutely ape. We just damaged that one ever so slightly, so he sort of speeds up. And this is what I mean by like bundling them up together. Yeah, this guy did not want to go in. Okay, so now we get the bottle. Here's a funny fact, actually. When you throw that last cucco into the pen, if you talk to that lady on the exact same frame the cucco lands in the pen, the first frame that he lands, you actually soft lock, and you can't get the bottle. I've done that a few times, and it's annoying. So we're going to go to the bottom of the well now. That's called Navi Dive. Once again, when you talk to Navi, the game thinks that you're busy, and you just clip through anything like water. We need to go to the bottom of the well in order to get bomb shoes. Having bomb shoes early or any form of an explosive makes the game severely broken as well. So we're just gonna scoot past him because he's annoying. I get that Deku stick for later as well, but that also gives me ISG based on how I got the stick. And we're going to be doing a glitch here called Ocarina Dive. Sort of like how I did Navi Dive to clip through the water. This one will be playing an Ocarina to get through. That's called inverted camera. We don't need to do inverted camera to do this, but it makes it easier because I actually need to hover off this guy. So we're going to hover, we mash Ocarina, and we clip through this body of water. Another advantage of getting ISG is it actually enables you to hover in mid-air for like ever so slightly, depending on like how high above the ground you are at the time. And we need to do that in order to clip through this body of water here. So I'm swimming through this unloaded area now. I clip through, and then the bomb chute chest is right there. Normally you need like a form of explosives to blow up the floor above you, but we've got like weird black magic that we can operate with. So I've got the bomb shoes there, I did a few equips, and then I did what's called a save warp. When you're in a dungeon in this game and you save and quit, it puts you at the start of the dungeon. It's just a really convenient way to move through the overworld and also through dungeons. So I'll actually be doing what's called a double save warp. I do it to get to the start of the dungeon. We exit out of here, and if you're in the overworld or in a village, if you save and reset now, as Child Link, it'll put you back in his house. If you're Adult Link, it puts you back in the Temple of Time. So the reason I need to do this is because my next destination is Jabu Jabu's belly. Because I've got explosives really, I'm actually able to do Jabu Jabu first. If we didn't have those explosives, we would probably have to do Deku Tree first. But something funny actually, there's another category that I used to do called All Dungeons, and All Dungeons actually does Jabu Jabu's belly first and does Deku Tree like way later. But I was switching categories that night because I have no idea why, and then I ended up making a mistake in my MST route. I actually started doing All Dungeons, and then I was like, oh crap, I should reset. But then we were like, hang on, if we did Jabu first, like, what would happen? So we just played around with the route, and it ended up becoming like a better route in the end. It was by complete accident though, so I guess sometimes good accidents do happen. So now I need to go to Zora's River. Normally you need the silver scale, but by getting a really precise angle and jump slashing, there's an acute angle in that wall there that we're able to clip through and swim past. The reason we can swim past is because that loading zone extends really far up. So now we need to enter Zora's domain. One sec. So that's called a Mega Side Hop, and that allows us to get past the waterfall. Normally to get through, you need Zelda's Lullaby, but we don't have that at the moment. So the other two options we've got is to do that Mega Side Hop, or to go grab the Kako that's right at the start and go through. So what I did there was called a Super Swim. That doesn't really make a difference, it's just faster. But also, I need to grab a fish there. The Super Swim actually enables you to not look at those fish, and if you don't look at those fish, they don't load. So if you turn around at the last minute, they're all still sort of bunched around together, and it just saves on a lot of time, so I don't have to like scramble for a fish. Now, normally you need to play the mini game to get the silver scale and go get the letter in the bottle, but we've got some more black magic here. That's called a ledge cancel. You interrupt yourself climbing a ledge with an explosive. This changes a few of your properties, and you're able to squeeze past King Zora without having to get the bottle, watch him scoot over, and it's just boring to do. So now we're actually going to do Jabu's belly. Normally what you have to do is grab a fish, and then he sort of eats you and eats the fish as well. But something funny about Jabu Jabu's loading zone, it actually stands well beneath his mouth, and we're actually able to clip into the loading zone from underneath. Like that. Because it extends really far down, and that saves us from having to use the fish. We actually need the fish for something else later on. That's why I don't want to use it yet. So that setup there was just to get the right angle to get the bomb shoe to hit the switch. Normally, when you play through this game casually, you'll have your slingshot, and you can shoot that switch there, but because the only thing I have are bomb shoes, that's the only thing I have to use to hit that switch. So most of Jabu is fairly boring up until you get Boomerang, because it's effectively one big escort quest. Because Princess Ruto lost her stone, and she's throwing a massive hissy fit, and you gotta put up with it. And, yep. Let's see. Oh, for those of you who just rocked up, we're playing this game in Japanese because the text is faster. I don't actually read Japanese, except I do read a bit of Chinese, so some of the characters actually translate over, so I can kind of guess what they're saying at certain points. I'm like, oh yeah, they're saying that. But it's like completely it's like completely just based on context. Here's another funny thing as well. If you see any of those blue boxes that you have when you scroll through text, those blue boxes actually count as frames. Every blue box you see, you waste at least 1 frame. It doesn't make a huge difference in this category, but like I said, for shorter categories like any percent, everything matters. So we throw Ruto up here, and we're just going to proceed. So, yeah. If there's any donations you want to read, feel free. This section is fairly boring. I'll let you guys know when it gets interesting again. Someone in chat just wrote, wait, you're playing in Japanese without reading Japanese. Isn't that a glitch? Yeah, you get those a lot. So sometimes Ruto lets out a little cry here and she does a wah like that. I usually say that's a sign of good luck. So that's 1. If she does it twice, it genuinely means the run is completely blessed. But that's not always the case. I've had runs where she does the double cry and I've just got wrecked. So it's never a certain thing. There we go, okay. So maybe that is a good sign. Okay. Huh? I've jinxed myself, yeah, exactly. An embarrassing thing, actually, one time I was back walking through here and I actually fell through the hole on the left. I was on a really good pace run as well, and that was heartbreaking. There's a category that I was doing called reverse dungeon order, where you play through the dungeons in the reverse order, and that was like right towards the end as well, and it was heartbreaking. I wasn't mad per se, but I don't know how to describe it. It's like you've lost your meaning in life. Yeah, that's the good word. Okay, that's not good. Actually, that should be fine, I think. Yeah, we're good. I thought I hadn't, I thought I didn't have enough Deku Nuts, but we're good. Okay, so we get the boomerang here. There's actually a joke in the community. If you place Ruto on the chest as you're grabbing the boomerang, she starts to vibrate really heavily, and we call that vibruto. I got told that in my chat a few months ago, and I'm like, what? Like, I thought this was PG, and they're like, no, 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 no. Like, put her on the chest. I was like, oh, I get it. So normally what you need to do once you get the boomerang is just destroy 3 of the big tentacles and then fight the big octo. But once again, that's fairly slow and fairly boring, and we've got other ways to get across this gap. That's called a mega side hop, and that allows us to clear that gap fairly easily. And now we're gonna get through the switch. Normally what you need to do is carry a box over, but if we just roll on a very precise frame, and I need to do this equip, you're actually able to go through without a box. That's actually not a glitch either. The way we justify that is you're rolling on a very specific frame and then tapping A. If you were mashing A in a casual playthrough, you could do the exact same thing. So we hit that switch, and now we're gonna go fight Baronade. So the Baronade fight is actually fairly technical as well. It took me a fair while to understand how it worked, because I used to just YOLO it and it would never be a good time. And then I ended up watching like a few of the world record runs at the time and how they did it, and then just try to copy what they do. And that's how you really learn in speedruns. How you get better is you practice, and then you look at some other people's runs and see if you can pick up stuff. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so what I did there was, as Baronade was about to unleash the jellyfish, you throw your boomerang at a specific time to stun him. And then, so the jellyfish have been like let out, but not completely. And then if you throw Deku Nut, it gets rid of all of them. That's it, that's Baronade. Those rolls into Baronade were completely intentional. because if you roll into Baronade and then get knocked back, it actually locks Baronade in place. So then when he comes up, it's not going to be completely random. He's going to be roughly in the same spot. So now we grab the heart container because we'll need that for later. And then we watch this fairly boring cutscene where she has a hissy fit at us for leaving her. But it's alright. We'll ditch her again anyway, so she can't really get too mad at us. We've ditched Saria and we've ditched Ruto. We are definitely best husband of the year. There is actually a way to skip this cutscene and also get Zora's Sapphire, but it's fairly slow and fairly involved. But just the fact that you can do it is crazy. We'll be doing a fair few what are called wrong warps throughout this category, where we'll go through the blue warp or manipulate it, and then it will take us to somewhere completely unintentional. The reason we thought doing it on that blue warp was impossible was because there's a cutscene involving Ruto where she talks to you. But one of my mods actually was fiddling around with it one day, and then he ended up finding something, and then it worked, but it turned out to be slower. But just the fact that you could do it, I thought was cool. Yeah. So there's the glorious Zora's Sapphire. So that's one of the stones that we have to get. So the category, for those of you who just joined us, is called MST, Medallion Stones Trials, and that's one of the stones we have to get. Though I often try to throw people off and just say the category is called Meme, Sweat, and Tears, depending on what type of day I'm having. If I'm having a bad day, I'll just call it that, and they believe me. Okay, so now we did a save warp again, and this will put us back in Link's house. The reason we're doing this is because we skipped King Zora, but now we have no way to get through him. So we kind of have to save warp and get back. So now we're actually going to go do Deku Tree. So now that we have the sword and shield, we're actually able to skip Mido. Talk to him and skip him. But I'm doing the same glitch as I did to get past King Zora, that ledge cancel. And this basically enables us to, now you'll be able to see what's going on. Hang on one sec. We'll just scoot past him. Normally he like tries to stop you and talk to you. And yeah, all that good stuff. But doing it this way, I think saves about 7 seconds. There's actually another way you can do it, is you hover over Kokiri Forest partially and don't load the Deku Tree sprite, but his loading zone is still there. So you're actually able to enter Deku Tree without talking to Mido and without talking to the Deku Tree as well. But that involves an extra bomb chew. And the bomb chew is the bomb chews that we have here are a fairly precious resource, and I want to try hold on to them as much as possible. So every bomb chew that I use in this category is actually intended. I'll try not to waste any. If we do waste a few, it's okay. I have a few backups, but it'll be better if we don't, basically. So now we're going to go into the Deku Tree now and go fight Goma and do some more black magic that I'll explain as we come along. So I'm actually fairly short on Deku Nuts, so I'm just going to pick up both of them. Normally in a normal speedrun, I'll only get one of them, but because I want to play this fairly safe, I'll get both. Okay, so what I did there was I pulled the Deku Stick right as I climbed the vines. Sort of like how I said with the Water Extended Super Slide and Link being in a busy state, pulling a Deku Stick also considers Link to be busy. The reason I did that right before I climbed the vines is because Navi gives us a lecture on how we meant to climb the vines, and by doing it just as you're about to climb, the game skips that notice, and it saves about 3 seconds. It's not a big deal. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so we got a $1 donation from Monado Link. This is my first time ever seeing this marathon, and I think it's amazing. I love that you have Ocarina of Time MST. Thank you to the runner and staff for making this a great presentation. Thank you so much for your donation.
Thank you, Monado. Okay, so what I did there was called B1 skip. So when I broke the web, I side hopped at a very specific point, and then jump slashed at a very specific point, and that skips you having to go all the way down to the bottom and then all the way back to the top. So we skipped the first basement, and then there's actually another web, but because I moved fairly quickly, that web wasn't completely loaded, so I skipped that as well. And then we ended up doing the scrubs in the sequence 2, 3, 1. And the way that I rolled there, sorry I didn't point it out, I rolled in a very specific way, such that it loads them in a specific sequence, such that I'm able to hit them just 1, 2, 3, 1 without having to waste any time. Now we fight Goma. We're actually going to be doing a glitch called Goma Clip. If this will be nice to me. It's okay. All good. Hopefully this will still work. If it doesn't work, it's okay. We got backups. Too early. So Goma needs to show her eye completely, and then I can backflip. Hopefully this angle is good, because it's fairly precise. So what I'm doing here is called pause buffering, just advancing the game frame by frame. There we go. Good. So we actually killed Goma through that wall there. The reason we need to do that is because I need access to the door that's behind me at the moment to do what's called a wrong warp coming up. Except that stone slab comes down, and the only way to get back, the only way to remove that stone slab, you've got three options. You can either kill Goma, save, and then warp back to the start of the Deku Tree, and then come back down, and the stone slab will be gone. The other way you can do it is you kill Goma on the same hit as you die, then you end up back at the start and come back down. But doing Goma Clip there doesn't force us to go all the way back up, and then we just go through the door, come back, and the stone slab is gone. So I'm going to save here just in case this goes wrong. So I'm going to be dropping the fish and picking it up. This will now allow me to do a glitch called Ocarina items. In this game, when you buffer an input, so like let's say you backflip and push the bottle button, the game will buffer that input such that when you land, you will drop whatever's in your bottle. But if you interrupt it with like something else, you'll... One sec. I'll explain everything in just a sec. Good. So what I'm doing here is basically manipulating how many frames the blue warp has advanced, and based on the offset and where I entered, where I exited, I'm in Ganon's castle now. So normally in the any % category, you'll just run through that exit and try to finish the game. But in this category, we have a few more things to do, so I won't be going through that. Okay, so I'll explain what I did there. In this game, when you pick up an item with your bottle, and then let's say you do a backflip or a side hop, and then you tap the bottle again, as Link lands, he'll drop that item. It'll buffer the input. But if you interrupt that buffer with an item that doesn't have an animation, like a stick or a sword or a bomb, the game goes, okay, this item doesn't have an animation, I don't know what to do, so I'll play the default animation, which is an ocarina. The reason we can't use a real ocarina is because you can't use a real ocarina in a boss room. Otherwise, it'd make our life a lot easier. Ooh, I better screw that up. What I'm trying to do there is get the rupee that's above that BMOS's head. Normally when you come here as an adult, you have a hook shot. Except I'll need to do it in a slightly more sophisticated way. There we go. That was using that ISG property again. The reason I got ISG was that so when the BMOS fired at me and I shielded it, I could hover for like a split second, and then using that extra distance, I backflip again, and then get the rupee above his head. The reason I need to do that is because I need to open this door and get more bomb shoes. Because you can buy bomb shoes in this game, but they're fairly, it's a fairly big process to go buy them. So we end up just picking the ones up we can from the chest and go from there. Okay, so I'm actually taking damage intentionally here because I'm going to be skipping another cutscene later. Oh wait. And you may have saw that I also used a bomb shoe to hit the switch through that other room. In this category, these rooms that I just passed, they're the ones that we call trials in Ganon's castle, and we need to finish those later. But because I'm not guaranteed my bomb shoe count, I need to just hit that now, and that way I don't have to worry about it. Yeah. So a few confused faces. Even though I was in Ganon's castle, I was Child Link, and Ganon's castle and Hyrule Castle are the exact same model. So even though I entered it as Ganon's castle, when I exited it, the game goes, you must be in Hyrule Castle. So it loads the area as if you were Child Link. And then that way I'm able to get Zelda's Lullaby. These guards are both deaf and blind, I swear. However, this guard, the guard that I just side hop past called, we nicknamed them because we get bored. That nickname we gave him was Lorenzo. Lorenzo can be, I can't say the word here, but let's just say he's very nasty, and he can snipe you really hard. Okay, so I'm going here, and we're gonna go get Zelda's Lullaby. Now, if you have a Deku Stick, and you roll as you speak to Zelda, you shove it in her face. People often get a good laugh out of that, and because it looks really sus. And just the way he's holding it as well, it doesn't help at all. A few people ask me how you do that. All you have to do is just hold the Deku stick, and then as you talk to it, just roll. So just mash A, and then he will keep it out. Normally, if you just walk up to her and tap A, he'll put it away. Okay, so about the wrong warp that I was doing. So yeah, when I drop the fish and pick it up, I then backflip, push the bottle button, and then push an item that doesn't have an animation, like a sword or a stick. That enables Link to play a fake ocarina. We call that ocarina items. Now, even though I call it a fake ocarina, if you have songs that you've collected in the game, you're actually able to play those songs using the fake ocarina. However, we use the ocarina items glitch to be able to cancel the blue warp. Because normally when you walk into a blue warp, the game rolls a cutscene and you get whatever you get. Except if we land on like the tiniest bit of the edge of the blue warp, we're actually able to cancel it and then manipulate how many frames the blue warp is loaded. Because how many frames the blue warp is loaded, based on where you entered as well, so to speak, determines what cutscene will play or where it takes you. So by manipulating how many frames the blue warp is loaded, I'm actually able to change where the game takes me, basically. So I'll be doing that a fair bit throughout this game. There's barely any cutscenes I'm gonna watch. Besides this one. This one's fairly boring. Because she just gives you a massive spiel about... It may as well be Scientology at this point. 3 beings came down, bestowed upon us a power, and then just sort of nicked off. So yeah, if there's any donations you want to read, feel free. So yeah, Ganondorf gives us a pretty suggestive look of like, what are you doing? And that basically sets in motion pretty much everything. And after we get Zelda's Lullaby, this actually marks the end of the child section. You may have noticed I haven't done Dodongo's Cavern, but we actually do that as adult, because we need to use the warp in Dodongo's Cavern to take us somewhere very specific. So if I did it as child, I would render that warp useless, because you can only do it once. So we need to save that for later. So yeah, normally what would happen is Zelda gives you her letter, and then Impa teaches you Zelda's Lullaby. But as you noticed in the room before, I did take damage down to a quarter of a heart or a half a heart. And I'll show you what happens now. What happened there was I backflip, pulled the Bombchu. As I landed, the Bombchu pushed me into the cutscene. But because I died at the same time, the game gives you the song. So it skips watching the cutscene, but you still get the goods. And we'll be doing that, I think, one more time. I can't... Yeah, we'll do it one more time. I often lose track. So now we're outside of Hyrule Castle, and now we're going to become Adult Link. And again, watching another long cutscene. But normally, what you're meant to do is you're meant to get all the stones. So you're meant to get the Kokiri Emerald, Goron Ruby, and Zora Sapphire. Place them in front of the pillar in the Temple of Time, and then play Song of Time, and the door opens. But you may have noticed I don't have Song of Time, nor do I have Goron's Ruby. But there is a way we can actually skip this stone slab. Now, I normally don't do this in one of my runs, but I want to show you guys something. So, because I think it'll be interesting to know like what's going on versus just me saying it. So I'll set it up again, don't worry. If you look through here, hang on. There's actually a tiny gap through this door that we're actually, I can't get the angle, but there's a tiny gap through this door that we're actually able to clip through. And some people started to make a theory go, wait a sec. If we get enough speed and a good angle through that door, can we clip through it? Is it possible? And the answer is yes. So what it did there was called a backwards side hop at a very specific angle. It clips me through the door, which is what it's doing now. And then by jump slashing on a precise frame, I get back in bounds and then skip that door. So normally in a run, I don't show that, but I just want to show you guys what was actually going on there. So for the longest time, people were just getting random angles, side hopping, side hopping, side hopping, and then finally someone clipped through, and then we're like, okay, let's replicate it. So the backwards side hop actually gives us enough speed to go through that gap, but if we didn't jump slash, we would just void out and go back to the start of the temple. So that jump slash puts us back in bounds, and then we can side hop past. And then Link pulls the trusty Master Sword. Then you have some creepy old guy with a white beard watch you for 7 years as you sleep. Then he wakes you up, so I don't know what they were suggesting there. So Ganondorf says, "You've opened the door of time for me, now I'm able to just wreak havoc." And yeah, another cutscene ensues where Rauru tells you of like your quest. If we have any donations, ASM crew? You did? Thanks, buddy. What's your name? Aiden, thank you so much for the $4, dude. So, normally when I pick up the Master Sword, my timer is roughly, about 35 minutes. So I'm about 5 minutes behind, but it's all good. Because I had to reset because I was an idiot. Oh no. Ow. Ow. 34, thank you, Agron. Someone in chat said 34, so a bit more behind than expected, but it's okay. It doesn't bother me. So yeah, now Link magically grows up, gets a piercing, and has some creepy old guy looking over him for 7 years. I don't know how they wrote this story, but I don't think that would pass in this day and age. So yeah, for those of you who have just joined us, welcome to Ocarina of Time speedrunning. The category that we're doing today is called Medallions, Stones, Trials, or MST. And I hope you guys enjoy. And for those of you who just rocked up in the crowd as well, we've just done 2 of the dungeons, and we are going to go proceed to finish the rest. So this is actually the first medallion that we get out of the medallions that we need. We get this by default anyway, so we don't really count it. I often forget about it. But people are like, this is a medallion as well. I'm like, oh yeah, true, true. It's the light medallion. So yeah, there are some other form of speedrunnings that we do in Ocarina of Time. We call them bingos. How it works is you get a 5x5 grid of random objectives from the game, like beat the Dongo's Cavern, collect 15 Skulltulas, and that card is randomized every time. And the goal with the bingo is to try pick a row, column, or a diagonal that's really optimal, so all the goals flow really well. And it's just something different that we do every now and again just to make it more interesting. Otherwise, the runs are just sort of repetitive, you know? Bingos are always different. But for bingos, we actually play this game in English, and this cutscene in English is just a nightmare. Because you're sort of just sitting there mashing text going, so what's up? But in Japanese, it's fairly quick. The reason we do bingos in English is because when the idea was first conceived, English was the more accessible, version of the game. But ever since then, everyone's been able to get a hold of the Japanese version fairly easily. So I don't know why we haven't changed it. Maybe that'll happen in time. But I do want to encourage anyone who's interested in speedrunning, both on the stream and here in the crowd. It can be fairly tough, but getting started is nowhere near as hard as it used to be. There's plenty of resources on YouTube, Twitch. When I'm finished, you can approach me. I can give you guys some resources as well. I'll be more than happy to. The more runners we have, the better. So the stone slab is still there from when we did the Door of Time skip, so we can't actually get back through. Well, there is a way, but the setup is really complicated. But if you save warp as adult, it puts you at the Temple of Time, which happens to be past the stone slab. So, yeah. Is this on cartridge? No, I'm playing... Oh, that's another thing too. I'm playing on the Wii Virtual Console version of this game. So this game came out on the Nintendo 64, and then Nintendo re-released it on the Wii for their Virtual Console system. And I'm playing on their Virtual Console system because for this category, the Nintendo 64 version actually has a fair bit of lag, but the Wii Virtual Console version managed to fix a lot of that. But then you get some purists who are just like, oh, you're meant to play on the original console. I'm just like, I can't be bothered dealing with you right now. I just play on whatever's faster, and that's how I recommend people should do it as well. A lot of runners still play this game on an emulator. Some speedrunning communities shun emulator speedruns. We don't, because it's basically whatever you can get your hands on and use, we're more than happy with that. An emulator is actually fairly convenient too, because you have what are called save states. You can, if you want to practice a trick, you can just load the exact same spot over and over again and keep practicing. On the Wii Virtual Console and the Nintendo 64, it's fairly, what's the word? It's a little bit more of an exercise, but you can still do it. So we're actually going to go to the graveyard now to do Shadow Temple first. Normally we do Shadow Temple well late in the game, but it's actually going to be the very first temple that we do. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to get the shield first, because I'll need that for later. It just so happens that this grave always has one. So in terms of the different versions that we have, this game came out, there was version 1.0, version 1.1, and version 1.2. The Nintendo 64 had access to all three of those versions, but officially the Wii Virtual Console only has access to version 1.2. But funnily enough, there's actually a few glitches that you can only do on 1.0 and 1.1. So for some categories that we run in this game, the Nintendo 64 version is actually more viable. But for MST, it doesn't really matter. The Nintendo 64 route and the VC route are actually fairly similar now. So it's really just pick your beast and go for it. So now we're going to race through Dampe to get the hook shot. As you can see here, I'm doing a... he is annoying. Those flames can be really annoying. It's not a big time loss, it's just annoying. As you can see here, I am rolling a fair bit. Like I said, we don't backwalk all the time, because the path that we have to traverse through here involves a lot of turning. So rolling is a lot more optimal, because you're able to roll, then retarget to adjust your camera, and then keep going. So like what I'm going to do here, I'll roll and retarget. And this will set up my angle a bit better. I always cut that fairly close, and yes, I have fallen off, and I always tell people no one saw that, but everyone always highlights it, so I can never escape the curse. Huh? Well, not on stream in front of, like, a lot of people. So, that is the hook shot. And we'll pick her up. And now we're going to go do Shadow Temple. So, normally the way you enter Shadow Temple is you're meant to finish the other dungeons first, then you come back to Kakariko Village, and Sheik teaches you the Nocturne of Shadow. But we don't want to wait till then to do it, so we have our own ways of getting in. Oops, forgot to equip something. I side hop through that door and side hop back. That crushes you, normally, and then you end up back at the start. This is a quick way to get back. So now I'm going to be doing a glitch called Hookshot Jump. I don't actually know why this works, but one of the TASers in our community found it, and then it actually changed a fair bit of how we do some tricks. So that's 1 jolt, 2 jolt, and 3 fire, and we go flying backwards, and we land on this seam. So I get ISG there from that Poe. The reason I do that is because this seam you can actually fall off from, but if you have ISG you can't fall off. The other way we used to enter Shadow Temple early is we used to do what's called a Chew Super Slide to get on this seam, but ever since that got found, it's become like the default method to enter Shadow Temple. It saves a bomb chew as well, so I'm walking along this seam here, and walking along this seam is actually nice because it doesn't load the torches here. Because normally you would need like Din's fire or like fire arrows to shoot all the torches. Because this area is partially loaded, the door's not loaded, so I'm able to get into Shadow Temple. So now we're in Shadow Temple, and like I said, this is the first dungeon we'll do. So we're first gonna get hover boots. There was a glitch, or a series of glitches that got found recently that have actually blown Shadow Temple just completely open. What we would normally have to do is, once we get hover boots, we go down to the boat on the lower floor, play Zelda's Lullaby to ride the boat across, and then go from there. But as you guys will see later on in just a sec, we will skip a big chunk of that. So this guy still gives me nightmares after speedrunning this game for 2 years. I think it gives everyone nightmares. Come on, mate. So we kill off Dead Hand, he'll give us hover boots. And then this is where stuff gets really interesting. If I fail it, it's okay, we'll ride the boat and it'll be a bit slower, but whatever. I just want to show it, I want to just try it at least once. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is set up a glitch called entrance point glitch. Basically, this game, the game internally keeps a value of where Link was when he entered. So that if you void or get crushed by a block, you'll know where to put you. But we're actually going to screw that up completely by doing this. So now I've screwed up where the game thinks I'm meant to be. I'm actually going to void out now and then take me there. So just give me a sec. This is fairly tricky. So I'm pause buffering again, advancing frame by frame because it's frame perfect. Well, nearly frame perfect. So I'm getting I got the hover boots there to be able to hover slightly above in midair when I backflip against an explosion. So now I'm like hovering like in the air. And then I've actually backflipped through a gap, and that makes me void. But because I did the entrance point glitch, it doesn't put me at the start of the dungeon. It puts me through this gap. I'll explain what I'm doing in just a sec. So I'm actually in a room, but it's not loaded, and it's actually very dangerous to maneuver through this room because there's actually pits that can make you void. So I've actually had to memorize the layout of this room. And I'll show you guys. You guys will know where I am in just a sec. And that was actually the boss door, because I'm at the boss now. That glitch was called boat skip. Basically, what I did was I triggered entrance point glitch to screw up where I'm meant to spawn. I voided, and then I was actually in the room that has the door that goes to Bongo Bongo, except I couldn't see where I was going, so I had to memorize the layout roughly. The movement we do there is fairly consistent, and then but we don't have the boss key, so all we did there was called a boss key skip. When you roll off a ledge, on the very first frame, Link grabs the ledge, you push target, it actually triggers a glitch called a ledge clip, and you actually clip inside to whatever you're grabbing. And by clipping inside to whatever we're grabbing, one second. By clipping inside to whatever we're grabbing, then using an explosion, we actually push through the door and get past the boss door. So I'm actually going to dupe over my Decker Nuts because I need an extra bottle for later. Now, Bongo Bongo, you're not so scary. Oh, that's not good. Okay. I may have potentially screwed this up. What I was actually meant to kill him on the other side, so I will try this once. There's basically the way I kill Bongo, I meant to kill him at a very specific. I meant to stand in a very specific spot, so it twists the camera in a very specific way. Because I need the camera to be facing a very specific way to do this cutscene skip that's coming up. You know what? Let's just go for it. See what happens. Worst comes to worst, we'll have to come through Shadow Temple again and go from there. If this works, it'll be a miracle, guys. This looks good so far. So we do a spinny spin spin from the blue warp. No, okay. That's okay. So the cutscene skip didn't work, but I got the lesser of two evils. So with those cutscene skips, 3 different scenarios can happen. You can either skip the cutscene, the screen flashes white, and you end up at the start of the dungeon. That means you got the cutscene skip and you got the medallion. Or you watch the cutscene because you loaded too many frames. That's the lesser of two evils, is actually watching the cutscene. Because the worst case scenario is that you attempt the cutscene skip, you don't see the white flash, which means you didn't load the blue warp for enough frames, and it puts you back at the start of the dungeon without giving you the medallion. So that's why I was really worried about getting that scenario. So getting this scenario is not too bad. Because this cutscene is fairly short, but I was meant to skip this, but like I said, I stood at a wrong spot at Bongo Bongo, So it screwed up my camera, screwed up my position. So as you can see, things are fairly precise in this game. I just hope I can pull off the other ones for you, at least. So Impa has like a massive spiel on what she's meant to be doing here. So that's the first medallion. But at least I got to show you guys what Boat Skip was about. Basically going through an unloaded room and then skipping a big chunk of Shadow Temple. They say something here in Japanese which I can't read. Okay, that's good. Now I'll need this fairy for later as well. Okay, good. So we'll need that fairy. If you play Zelda's Lullaby in front of a Gossip Stone, they give you a fairy. The other option is to buy one for 50 rupees, but I've only got 25, and I'm not really in the mood to farm for rupees now. It's actually faster to get the fairy from the Gossip Stone there. So the next destination is actually going to be... we're going to go to Death Mountain Crater to get Bolero of Fire, because we'll actually need that to be able to warp around the overworld, because at the moment, I have no way of getting to, like, the other areas of the game. One sec, screwed up my equip. So I'm back walking here because it's a straight line distance and it's fairly long, and it's actually better to just turn around and back walk. So if I can, I'll try to pull this off for you guys. It's not necessary, but it just looks cool, and why not go for some swag? And that's called a hyper extended super slide. Sort of like what I did with the water extended super slide. We can get backwards momentum through shielding a bomb explosion or a bombshell explosion. And by doing it off the sign, it sets up a really good distance for me. And by holding that really specific... screw it. By holding a very specific position on your controller, you can maintain that backwards momentum. If you can do it... What I was meant to do was go right into that entrance there. But it's not a big time loss. It's just a little bit faster, that's all. So we're going to come into Goron City here, and we're actually not going to get the Goron Tunic. We actually do Fire Temple without a Goron Tunic, and it's fairly scary, but yeah, we'll go for it. So I actually need to go to Death Mountain Crater now, except we have a mass... Oh, hello, mate. Hang on, I can get this angle a different way. He can sometimes be a bit of a troll. But I need to get through Darunia's room, except it's blocked unless I talk to him. But by getting this very specific angle here, then doing something called a mega side hop, we're actually able to do what's called a ground clip through the ground and end inside this room. And we're gonna get the Bolero of Fire now. The normal way we used to get Bolero of Fire is we used to die and enter the cutscene at the same time, sort of like how we did for Zelda's Lullaby. But there's a way you can do it without dying, and we call that Deathless Bolero. This trick gave me a week's worth of headache because the setups we all had were inconsistent. So it was like my mission for a week to find a setup that worked, and I think we found one. This setup always works. Before, we used to just... There was a lot of misinformation spread about this trick, but basically what I'm doing there is I'm voiding at the same time as Sheik teaches us Bolero of Fire, but I still get the song, and then we get this lovely music that plays for a little bit. But yeah, that trick is actually fairly annoying to do. It used to kill my runs for like a month straight, and then finally I said, I've had enough of this, I'm gonna find something that works. Come on. So we get Bolero of Fire, and now we're gonna go get magic. I also just realized I have the wrong item equipped, but it's okay. Actually, doesn't matter. I'll show you guys what I mean. So, you guys have been seeing me do Ocarina items this entire time, where I play a fake Ocarina. And I did tell you guys that if you have a song in your possession, it still functions as a real Ocarina. So I'll show you guys that now. It still works like a real normal ocarina. I normally don't do that, but I just want to show you guys that it does work. So we actually need magic here because in this category, we need to get light arrows. And in order to fire the light arrows, you need magic. So that's why we do this. In a lot of other categories, we actually don't get magic. So we get this very, 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 very poorly polygon drawn nude fairy. She still creeps me out to this day as well. I don't know, just weird. Pretty much. Speed run is one word, yes. For those of you in the chat, speed run is definitely one word, not two. That's another meme that's been going around. It's 3 words. I see a lot of people from my chat in the stream as well. How's it going, everyone? Alright, so now we're going to go do Dodongo's Cavern. Like I said, we normally do Dodongo's Cavern as child, but we saved it for adult because we need to use the blue warp in there for something very specific. I'm just setting up something here, and I think you guys will see why I'm doing that in just a sec. So I've landed on this section here. You're normally not meant to be here, but you know what? I'm a filthy cheater, I want to. And then that's the loading zone for Dodongo's Cavern. It's just quicker this way. So now I'm going to be doing... So what I need to do in Dodongo's Cavern first is I need to get the bombs, and I also need to light the eyes. Because I've only got bomb chews at the moment, but I don't want those to be my only source of explosives. So we're gonna get the bombs now. Normally you have to go through a heck of a lot of this dungeon, do some jiggery pokery, and then get the bombs. But we're gonna have a really fast way to get up there, and I'll show you guys that right now. So I need to take this damage intentionally. First I'm gonna light the eyes with the bomb shoes. This movement is all intentional. It's to put me in a very specific spot. So not only have I lit the eyes with the bomb shoes, it's put me, like I said, in a very specific spot to do this glitch that's coming up. Let's get the position right. Perfect. That trick is called hookshot jump or doom jump. We hit the ladder with the hookshot on the exact same frame as we die, so the game keeps the momentum. And the bridge isn't loaded from underneath, so we go through it, land up on top of the bridge, and that's the reason I got the fairy, so that it revives me. And then that skips a big chunk of DC, and we get the bombs. It's actually called hookshot jump. Someone also started calling it doom jump, and it's made a few people really mad for some reason. I can't explain why, it's just the name. Whatever. Okay, so we're gonna do equips. We're actually going to save warp here. Even though I'm already in Dodongo's Cavern, it's going to put me at the start. I actually need to do this because the wrong warp that I'm going to be doing later on requires you to set a very specific value for the last cutscene that you watched. And the last cutscene that I'm watching is the intro screen. It seems really weird why that is, but trust me, this is what we have to do. If I didn't do that, I'd probably soft lock. So now we're going to go fight good old KD. So I need to take some damage because this cutscene skip I'm going to be doing later on actually involves me having to die like I did in Shadow Temple. So I dropped the fish there. Normally to keep this switch pushed down, you need to push that block that's like back over there. Hang on, I'll set this up again. Position was wrong. You normally need to push that block that's right above at the back there, but that's fairly slow. We got other ways. Doing Ocarina items on this block actually delays it from being pressed down, but it still pushes it, and then you're just able to go through. The other way is you can die on the switch, but that's slow, and we like to go fast. I tap hookshot there, not for swag. It's actually faster to fall with a hookshot in your hand for some reason. I thought people just did it for swag, and then someone said, no, it's actually slightly faster. I'm like, oh. So basically, if it looks like we're doing something funky, it's normally intentional. Or like we've planned it out, or someone's mentioned it, and I'm like, oh, okay. So, King Dodongo is one big pushover. it's a fairly straightforward fight. He eats something, he doesn't like it, and we slap him on the wrist or the head. So I'm taking this damage intentionally. I didn't take the damage against the Beamos all the way down because I needed to walk through this lava to be in this very specific spot. He eats another one of these. I'll show you something funny. If you stand all the way on the right, the game still slides you all the way at the left. I have no idea why. I tried it once on my... Am my eyes just seeing things? And then I did it on my... Okay, no. So he decides to roll through the lava. And then we're going to do another cutscene skip now. Well, it's a cutscene skip plus a wall. This one is actually fairly annoying to do as well, but let's see if I can pull it off. One. Okay, good. Sometimes this fish can troll me. Please don't troll me. I beg you. Alright, good. So I'm pause buffering again to get the right frame that I need. I'm actually looking at the bomb, by the way, in case you're wondering. Okay, good. Good. Play the fake ocarina, trigger the blue warp on the very edge of it. Tap B to cancel it, you die. And then the blue warp loads for an exact amount that I need. And if all works well, you'll see a white flash and I will end up at the Gerudo training ground. And we do that because our next destination is Spirit Temple. So because that's the reason I had to leave the Dodongo's Cavern to adult. Because we actually need to... we figured it'd be a waste to do it as child and not use that warp. So we figured if we save it as adult, we can then make our next destination Spirit Temple. Yeah, that's one of the more harder wrong warps to do because you need to look at how many flashes the bomb goes through. I've practiced it enough to know like how it works, but when people are starting out, that's one of the more harder ones. So we do what's called a gate skip here. We hover over that gap and side hop, and we skip having to get through and get the Gerudo card. And then screw the sign. Doesn't do anything. I just do it for a meme. So normally you would need the Lens of Truth to navigate through the desert, but we're not scrubs here, so we actually do it without the lens. I shouldn't be saying that because when I first started speedrunning this game, this wasteland traversal gave me so much of a headache. And then, like with anything, just keep practicing and you'll eventually get the hang of it. I actually use the mini-map a lot in the bottom right-hand corner to sort of get an idea of like where I am. So I target this wall, like everything's intentional here to make sure I'm like in the exact spot that I need to be. So if you guys have any donations, feel free to read them out. Oh shit, I voided. See? That's why I said I can't speak too soon, because that can happen from time to time, but it's okay. We just have to do it again. Whoops. Yes, Strain, I am indeed a scrub because I voided there. Okay. So yeah, for those of you who have just joined us, this is Ocarina of Time, and the category that we're doing is called MST, Medallion Stones Trials. Or if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh player, there's that card that has MST as well. I don't know what it's called, but there's that as well. I don't know what it's called, but someone can probably tell me after. Mystical Space Typhoon or something like that. Okay. I still prefer Meme, Sweat, and Tears, but I guess whatever floats your boat, right? Okay, I think this should be fine. There we go. There we go. Now, these levers can also be a bit of a pain to deal with. These levers I like to describe as that one friend that will never leave you alone. Like, you need to be left alone for like a few hours, but he just won't leave you alone. That's what these levers are, because they keep coming back. Okay, so a bit of a hiccup there. Someone asked in chat, how long have I been speedrunning Ocarina of Time for? I've been speedrunning this game for a little bit over 2 years now. So we're gonna go do Spirit Temple now, see if I can pull this off. That's called a super slide. Just faster way of moving across this gap here. And then I'm not gonna enter Spirit Temple actually. I'm gonna be skipping a big chunk of Spirit Temple by attempting to do something we call Spirit Hover. It's a fairly involved trick, and just give me a moment. Ooh, okay, that should still be fine, I think. I'll risk it. So we're just basically doing a lot of hovers. Where am I? That should be fine, I think. I'll risk it. Good. Okay, just give me a sec. Ooh, that was close. Sorry, I'm just keeping. I'll play this safe, guys. I'm just gonna keep an eye out for this Gwei. Because those Gweis actually come in cycles. So even if I kill one of them, his mate can just come around the next cycle and be like, hey, what's up? So he's the other best friend that won't leave you alone. Okay, so I'm here now. That chest is actually the Silver Gauntlets chest. But I do another super slide across this gap. Jump slash at the right moment to get across the last bit. And that is the Mirror Shield. That trick, that sequence there doing the Spirit Hover saves 2.5 minutes. But it's fairly scary, as you can see. And I played it fairly safe there. And now we're actually able to do the rest of Spirit Temple. Spirit Temple is actually my least favorite temple. Because in every category that I've done, Spirit Temple ends my runs in the weirdest and most disturbing ways. Plus it's just generally scary. Now this guy is actually also pretty scary because he can do 4 hearts in one hit. So I just had to collect the hearts there for safety. So now we're going to go through Spirit Temple. Spirit Temple actually goes through fairly quickly because we skipped a big chunk of it doing Spirit Hover there. I'm going to farm these armors for some bombs. Now, if I get a bomb or not is completely RNG. So I just hope it's nice to me. So I need this key from this room here. Okay, so I see 1 bomb drop there, that's good. I would like to be at 20, and each bomb drop gives you 5. So I think having only 1 drop, that's fine, I can work with that. So we skedaddle past these guys. Skip through these guys as well. I do that movement there so the Beamos won't hit me as I'm trying to hook shot up onto this ledge. Otherwise, he can just absolutely wreck you, and it's not a good time. These moving walls are also fairly annoying, but fun fact, if you hold target as you're climbing those walls, and if like one clips you, you'll just fall down to like the last one. You can re-grab it, otherwise you'll take damage. So normally we play Zelda's Lullaby on that floor there, and that will get us the Spirit Temple boss key. But I'm going to be trying to pull off something else that's a lot harder, but looks cool, so hopefully you guys will enjoy this. Oops, too many frames. It's alright, try again. Okay. Sort of like how I did for the Spirit Temple boss key skip. If I press target on the first frame I grab the ledge, I do what's called that ledge clip, and I clip inside the block. I need to do the exact same thing here. So I push target, see I'm in the ledge now? That's not good. It's alright, we'll YOLO it. And now I'm in this very tiny of a gap here. I'm in a bit of a weird spot, but we're just gonna go with it. I think that should work. I think that's fine. And now we are at Naburu Knuckle. Normally you would need the Spirit Temple boss key to do that. That super slide that we did there, where I slid back with the hover boots, it's a very scary one because you actually don't have much room to move there. So everything we did there was like super, super precise. I was actually really scared of doing that glitch for this run because up until like yesterday, I'd been failing it like on every attempt I did. So then what I did was I just sat down, looked up the tutorial again and went, okay, what am I doing wrong? It turns out I was just like overlooking something really small. Practiced it a few times, got it and went, you know what, let's go. There's actually, when you kill Naburu Knuckle here, there's actually there's a cutscene that triggers where she's like, oh, have I been in this suit the whole time? But there's actually a way you can skip it, but I don't know how to do it, so we're just gonna have to listen to a chat. So I'm standing near her right foot, because it's generally a safe spot such that she can't flip you. But I will need to take one intentional hit here, because I want to be on half a heart for another cutscene skip later. My stream often makes fun of me because I don't know how to do this skip, but it saves 18 seconds, but it can kill your run, so I don't think I need that 18 seconds just yet. Maybe one day when I feel ballsy enough. But yeah, if we have any donations, feel free to read them if there are any. All good. So for those of you who don't know, we are actually raising money for Beyond Blue. For this event, and we've currently raised just over $3,000. So for those of you who've donated, thank you so much. And for those of you who are just chilling in the crowd, hope you guys enjoy. Okay, so now we're gonna fight the witches called Twin Rover. These two witches are another reason why I don't like Spirit Temple, because their movement can be fairly random. You can control it to a certain extent, but by large, their movement is just all over the place. But there is a tiny cutscene at the end that a lot of us Ocarina of Time speedrunners know about. I'll explain it when we get to it. It sounds like they're saying something which they shouldn't be. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this with there's kids around. I probably shouldn't. Huh? I won't. Just keep your ears open. You guys can probably pick it up. I'll tell you guys what it is, but I won't say what it is, of course. If you guys are keen, you go boot up the stream chat. I'm sure people in chat will be spamming it by the time it happens, so you'll know what it says. But with kids around, I won't say it. I'm gonna keep them innocent for as long as we can, right? Whoa, where they at? Okay, that's what I mean. So if I hookshot the one that's not moving, I'm actually able to keep her like in that spot. Okay, she's standing still, which means she might fire again. That's excellent, because then I can keep this one in its spot. Sometimes they may fire twice in a row, and that makes my life a lot easier. Sometimes even a triple, but that's very rare. Ironically, the time I got a triple shot, it was like one of the worst runs I ever did. It was almost like the game saying, look, we feel sorry for you, have a triple shot. So we need to hit these witches in 4 times. One of them will fire, the other one will just sort of, you know, float around. So she's standing there, which means it's generally a good sign. Except I can't see where her sister is, so I'm just gonna YOLO it. There you are. Sometimes I've had the luckiest streak where, like, I've just aimed off screen really far left or right, and then one just comes right into view. And then I'm like, oh, it's all planned, it's all planned. So now 2 ugly witches combine to be somewhat of a more suggestive witch. And now this is phase 2 of Twin Rover. The first 3 shots she will fire are always going to be the same. I use a hook shot there to speed up her movement, so she can just move to the next platform. Very good. Perfect. Nice. And now we just crouch stab her to death. Oh, that's not good. We're good, we're good. Those crouch stabs came a little bit slower than I intended. Okay, so these 2 witches now have a bit of a spit at each other. And it sounds like they're saying something they shouldn't be. I don't know who came up with it, but once I heard it, I couldn't unhear it. So obviously I won't say it for the sake of the kids, but if you guys are curious, just look it up in the Twitch chat. People will be saying it, I think. If they don't, I will. I'll type it. You guys can't hear game audio, can you? The crowd. Oh, they can't hear. Okay. I can tell you now, it definitely wasn't intentional. But once I heard it, I couldn't unhear it. I was like, alright, I can't hear it. You can't. You just can't. Okay, so now I'm going to be doing another cutscene skip. So all this movement here is intentional. And hopefully if Bob's your uncle, or in my case, my uncle's name is Joe. So if Joe's me uncle, we will kill ourselves with this bomb. That's why I took the damage before. And if this works out well, we'll do a spinny spin spin. Okay, that should work. What should happen now is I see a white flash and I end up at the start of the temple. And that signifies that I got the medallion. Perfect. So we don't have to watch the long cutscene of Naburu giving us the spirit medallion. So now we're actually going to be doing Fire Temple. So Fire Temple is the next dungeon here. This makes me really on edge because I don't have the Goron tunic, which means my health, the amount of time I have on the clock, is going to be determined by how much health I have. So each full heart you have gives you another 8 seconds. So if I had 6 heart containers, I would have 48 seconds. But I've only got 5, so I've only got 40 seconds on the clock for a lot of the sections. People used to make fun of me again for getting 6 heart containers, so I was like, you know what, screw you guys, I'm gonna man up and get 5. And I've gotten 5 ever since. Okay, so what I'm gonna be doing here is another glitch. So I'll equip the hover boots first. You're all bad. Okay, so I'm gonna get this fish. I'm gonna be triggering a glitch called time stop. In short, the camera just flicks around, and when I enter this door, normally when you enter this door, Darunia talks to you, but because the camera is not looking at him, he's not loaded. So I'm able to get this key by moving in a specific way, and hopefully not talking to him. We get this key. Somehow all Gorons in this game chat a lot. Every Goron you speak to ends up giving you like their life story. I mean, it doesn't seem too complicated. They just eat rocks all day, so it's like I get up, I eat a rock, I go to bed. It's like, cool. So some sections don't have a timer, and that's good. It gives me a bit of a breathing space. So the way I move through here, I'll have to be fairly careful because I've got the clock there. For most people, when they start out with MST, I recommend that they get the Goron tunic. It's not that much slower, and it guarantees that you at least finish a run. But as you get better, you can start to ditch it. So what we're doing here is basically just getting a few of the small keys that we'll need to get through the rest of the dungeon. So for those of you who have just joined us, this is Ocarina of Time, and the category that we'll be doing today is MST. Medallion Stones Trials. My name is Mikami, and I hope you guys enjoy. So I'm wearing the hover boots here because there's places here where there's lava. If I didn't have those hover boots, I'd be taking damage. And on the less health you have, the less time you'll have as you come back out. So I'm trying to make sure I preserve as much health as I can. But from this point on, I'm actually able to just to unequip hover boots. I don't need them from here on in. So we get another key, and that is the last, no, it's the second last small key we'll need to get. This next section is a little bit scary, but I think we'll be fine. we can actually delay the timer in mid-air if we tap something like an ocarina or a bottle, and that stops the timer ever so slightly. It gives you like just that split second, like that, it disappeared for a bit. It may not seem like much, but they can be like an absolute lifesaver. It's okay, not bad. Okay, good. Psychic Rat on chat. I think the witches are basically arguing whose fault it was that they died. And I honestly think that's it. And, okay, that's I think one of the last timer parts we'll have to do. Okay, so normally you'll have to go through Fire Temple like fairly extraneously to push that block down, but we are actually going to skip it like we skip a lot of things in this game. Getting this very specific angle here, nudging myself in the corner, we can skip through that block. And that's called block skip. There's actually an older setup that we used to do, but a Japanese speedrunner found a way to do it without hitting that crystal switch. And now we're going to proceed with the rest of Fire Temple. If you have any donations, Kieran, feel free to read them out if we do. So yeah, once again, shout outs to ASM for organizing a really awesome event. You guys can, all of the runs that we've done today, I think will be highlighted and VODed on our Twitch page, which is Oz Speedrun Marathon. And yeah, so if there's a run that you missed out on that you really wanted to watch, definitely check that out within like a week or so. Okay, so we're going to go through this fire room maze now. There's actually a fair few ways we can do this. The fastest way that we can get through it, I knew how to do it, and then for some reason I can't do it anymore. So we're just going to go through this way. So what I'm going to do is take damage, use the invincibility frames to get through that wall. And then we blow up this door. Normally you need to hit a switch to let that flame wall go down, but we've got invincibility frames, we may as well abuse them. So now we fight one of the flare dancers. This is a fairly simple fight. He stands there, you hookshot him, and you stab him. So what we're trying to do at the moment is get Megaton Hammer. Because we'll need that to fight Vavagia at the end. Vavagia is definitely one of the more scary boss fights in this game. Like I said, only because I don't have a tunic, and the hole that Vavagia can spawn from can really, really screw you up. But I pray for a good hole, and let's see. Yeah, that was intentional. It's become a meme in my own stream now when I'm like, pray for a good hole. But I think, do we have any kids here? No, we're good. Okay, so we hit that switch as we're climbing that to give us enough time to climb this chain. We climb up the chain. Now, I need to ask you guys something in the crowd. What color tunic is your favorite? Green, red, or blue? There's only one right answer, by the way. Meh. Can't be friends, mate. I'm just joking. Red's my least favorite. I always go for blue tunic, and it's a common like meme in the community of which tunic is the best tunic. But some people get really into it, and I'm like, guys, just chill. It's just the it's the blue one. Thank you, JRP. So we get the Megaton Hammer. Make sure this guy doesn't clip us. So normally we need to go back all the way down and go to the room where Darunia is and fight Vavagia. But we can actually skip getting the boss key entirely by doing this boss key skip. I equip hover boots, clip through this wall. My bad. Sorry, I blanked out for a sec because I wasn't sure what I was doing. I brain farted. We're good, I think. Yeah, we're good. Whew. Time to fight Vavagia. Now this can be... I just hope that this is going to be a good one. How this fight works is Vavagia actually has 2 hitboxes. One that pops out of the holes and one that's actually underneath. There's one hole that's right in front of me. If you put a bomb in the bottom left-hand corner, it actually hurts that bottom hitbox. So I obviously don't want Vavagia to spawn out the first hole because it gets really, really messy this way. So let's see what happens. So both of those hitboxes will be active until Vavagia flies out completely and does the rest of his cycles. But we basically stop him from doing that. Okay, let's see how we go. Good. So we stun Vavagia, place a few more bombs down. 3 to be exact. Good. So we drop a total of 7 bombs. So we've done 6 and 1 more. And this prevents Vavagia from flying out and still use both hitboxes. So yeah, that fight can be, after all these years, that fight has never gotten any less scary. I could be on like a really good pace run and then sometimes Vavagia just teases me and comes out of the same hole, that front one, twice. And I'm like, you really didn't want me to have a good run, did you? But it is what it is, and now we are going to be doing another crazy wrong warp. So we'll drop this fish again. This fish is like our best friend. He can troll us though, please be nice. Good. We play the fake Ocarina by doing Ocarina items. Cancel the blue warp, walk forward. This is all intentional, by the way. You guys will see where I'm going next. Side hop twice, wait to die, either through the timer or through me losing health. He does a spinny spin spin. And if all goes well, I should end up in the Forest Temple. And now we are in the Forest Temple. Why we do that is because normally to get to Forest Temple, we have to get past Sheik teaching us Minuet of Forest. And that's fairly long and boring. But it just so happens that Fire Temple has a warp that we can use, or we can manipulate it in a way that takes us to Forest Temple. So we decide we may as well use it. So we're all good here. And we're going to proceed through Forest Temple now. Forest Temple is actually a fairly standard, standard run because we need to get the bow in order to use fire arrows. Sorry, we're going to be getting both fire arrows and light arrows. So we need to traverse through Forest Temple to get the bow. But we'll be doing some glitches throughout the temple, and I'll point them out as they happen. So are you guys enjoying the run so far? Okay, awesome. If you have any questions, you can shout them out. I can answer them as we go. So there's these 4 Poes that spawn. We don't have to fight them at all in this category, so that's good because it's a fairly long process. Don't hit the wall. Don't hit the wall. Okay, good. Do we have any donations, Astri? Okay, so gonna fight these Stalfos. Sure. These guys can be really trolly as well. I've actually lost the run to these guys, and I'll explain what happened. I was trying to jump slash one of them, except he put his shield up. I knocked back from the shield, and his mate clipped me from like the other side. So it was like a tag team, and I did not see it coming. I was like, oh, they can actually coordinate. So we'll get this 1 key. Now, normally how we play through Forest Temple, we need to get the other small keys and go all the way around to the top platform. The other way we can do it is there's this Song of Time block that's sitting right over here. Now, normally to clear a Song of Time block, you need the Song of Time. But we don't have it, but we're actually able to do something called a ledge clip. Oops, not that. On the first frame, Link grabs a ledge. If you press target, he clips through it. Like that. And we're actually able to clip inside the block and go through the door. That was actually found by complete accident. And then the guy who found it was like, wait, what? And then we tried to replicate it. And then once that was found, it actually changed this. It changed how we do a few of the tricks completely. So I need to get up onto that top platform. I'm going to be doing what's called a damage boost. There's a few names for this. People call it long jump, mega jump. I'm like, it's a damage boost. You just take damage and you get boosted. Like long jump, it's like we're not in the Olympics here. Like we need better names for it. Yeah, basically. Equip hover boots to give us some extra distance, and here we are. So I'm gonna be making use of something here called a ground jump. Normally we have to do this block puzzle where we push the blocks into like a certain order so that we're able to like climb through. But whoa. Okay. So by doing this thing called a ground jump, Link's able to get like a really tiny hop and clip through the block there. And that just skips us from doing a large chunk of the block puzzle. The camera turned in a really weird way that I wasn't sure. I've never got before. I was just like, oh, what was that? But we fixed it up pretty easily. It just surprised me more than anything. That set of movement there, rolling towards that platform, it plagues a lot of the new runners a fair bit. But I often just tell people, roll earlier than you think, and for some reason it works every time I say that. So maybe it's the magic touch, or I don't know. So now we're going to go proceed to get the bow. The reason I'm grinding along the right side of this wall is because if you go in the middle, Navi has a bit of a chat to you about how like the hallway is twisted. I'm like, thank you, Navi. I have my own eyes, I can see this. But it's all good. Oops. Down. Okay, good. Now, I'm going to take this fight fairly safe because these Stalfos, anyone who runs OOT knows, can just be a nightmare to deal with. Because he's able to float, but he doesn't allow me to float, so I'm upset with that. Now, one dies and two other guys spawn. Now, these are the two that killed me in a run a few nights ago. Because I jump slash and hit one of their shields. And then they basically tag team me. Come on. Come on. Good. And now we get the bow, except I will need to take some damage, so I'm going to do something what's called a damage buffer. Normally a bomb only hits you for half a heart, but we're actually able to extend the damage frames by playing an ocarina in the middle like this. And we abuse more of the bomb frames to take more damage. It may seem kind of counterintuitive, except I'll actually need to be on at least half a heart. So at most half a heart for this next step. So we get the bow, and normally we would need to get like the boss key now and fight the other pose, but we're actually gonna skip that entirely. I'm gonna be doing another boss key skip. This specific angle, like that. If I somehow hold right on and equip hover boots, I clip through that entire room for some reason. I actually don't know why that happens. And then if I equip Kokiri boots and hold down, I end up in Phantom Ganon's room. I don't know how that works. I was just told that that works. I was like, alright, cool. And now we go on to fight Phantom Ganon. There is another way, if I failed that, there is another way we could get into Phantom's Ganon room from the main foyer of Forest Temple. So it's, one of the great things about Ocarina of Time is that if you fail one trick and you want to continue the run, there's generally another one you can do as a backup. So now we fight this guy. He splits off into two in these paintings, and you'll have to find the correct one. The way you can figure out which one the correct one is, he's actually brighter like that one, and if you actually go near the painting, it's louder as well. But on a crappy old TV, when you're playing on the N64, it was really hard to tell, so I just always guessed. So he is in that one. So you hit him 3 times, and then he pops out of his paintings, and then you're able to proceed with phase 2 of this fight. Drain, the marathon is actually held at Avcon in South Australia. So I jump slash. I got what's called ISG again. And that makes my sword active for every possible frame. So I'm able to reflect that shot easily. Otherwise, I'd be playing him in the Wimbledon finals, and I would not win because he is a very good tennis player with those reflector balls. And I do not want to play tennis with Phantom Ganon. So now that we killed Phantom Ganon, we're actually going to be doing another cutscene skip. This one is actually fairly important to hit. Well, it's important in the sense that if we don't hit it, we waste like 5 minutes. Because not only does Saria talk to you and give you the forest medallion, but that little baby Deku shrub talks to you out the front as well. So it's a very long cutscene that I would really like to avoid. But we got magic, and well, not really magic, we got ways to skip it. So if I set this up right, okay. What I did there was called a shield turn. Basically, if you hold shield, let go for a frame, and turn in another direction, Link will turn without moving. You can not do a shield turn, but then you might potentially move. And this position is fairly precise. Okay, let's see if I can pull this off. Oh, nice. Good. Well, I need to buffer one more frame of the game. Come on. Good. So the blue warp loads for a few frames, we die, but if all ends up well, I should see a white flash and end up at the start of Forest Temple to indicate that I got the medallion, and we did it. And now we're going to go proceed to Water Temple, because that's the last one we have to do. So the reason I'm not walking out of that gap there is because I actually haven't learned Minuet Forest, and if I walked out, I'd trigger the cutscene. And yes, I have done that once. I wasn't paying attention, I walked out, I'm like, yep, that happened. So the only warp song we've got is the Bolero of Fire, and it's actually a fairly good warp song to have, because it's a fairly central area in the game, and we can use it to get to a lot of places. So I'm going to go over to Zora's Domain now, and through Zora's Domain, I'll go through to Water Temple. So Water Temple is the last one we have to do, and if you were like me as a kid, Water Temple was like the hardest one to do. It was just a maze and everything. But hopefully, with you guys will see how short Water Temple is in this run, and hopefully you guys will hate it a little bit less. Or more, depending. Some people have hated me more for it. They're like, I spent weeks on this and you do it in like a few minutes. I'm like, speed runs. So normally in a casual playthrough, you would have silver scale, but I don't have that, and I can't actually reach that that loading zone. But we're actually able to clip through a very acute angle, like that, and trigger the loading zone that way. Because the loading zone extends really far up. To now get through the waterfall, I do have Zelda's Lullaby, and I can play that, but I'll show you guys another way you can do it. Very precise angle, equip hover boots, hold forward, roll twice, you'll grab that ledge. Don't need to play Zelda's Lullaby. That saves like 10 seconds. Now, Zora's Domain is completely frozen over, but they didn't code this properly, and there's actually a clipping point in that ladder. And now we're underneath the ice here. If I swim fast, gotta go fast, gotta go fast. Good. That triggers the loading zone to get to Lake Hylia. And through here, we're actually able to get to Water Temple. Now, we actually don't have the iron boots. Normally, you would need the iron boots to sink to the bottom and be able to enter Water Temple. But we'll be doing some more magic. I'm actually farming some bombs here because I'm kind of low. Perfect. How many do I have? 9. Yeah, 9 should be fine. Yeah, you guys can read the donation now.
Paul Moore gave $5.35 and says, amazing run, amazing commentary, and even chat interaction. Thanks, Mikami.
You're welcome, Paul. So what I did there was actually called a house clip. There's a very precise angle in the lab guy's house that you can backflip through, and you go into the house. And then from the house, you're able to go under the water, and I'm actually swimming beneath the water now. And by swimming underneath the water, we're actually able to trigger the Water Temple loading zone. But I've got to be careful about how I swim, because there's a really good chance you can clip back in bounds. That's good. The camera didn't pan around like I expected, but I've memorized the swim pattern because For some reason, when I started running this game, I could never get the camera to pan around, but it's okay. Now we're inside Water Temple. Okay, so like I said, this this MikamiHero on state at Medallion 2. Damn it, Zumi. Okay, so now we're in Water Temple. A lot of yous may have had similar grief to me when I was a kid, in that this was a really hard dungeon to get through, with like all the different levels and layers and whatnot. But we're gonna skip a big chunk of it. Please don't hate me for this, you know, it's just part of the run. I'll need this, I don't need this fairy, but it's a safety fairy for, not Morpher, but for late game. I'll save here just in case this screws up. Oops. Sure.
Nad Flame gave $16.05 and just posts a heart.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so that's the boss door, right? I don't have the boss key, but we're gonna be doing something called a staircase hover. It looks like we're climbing a set of stairs, and we can skip this door entirely. I hope that works. Ah, shit, I screwed it up. It's alright. Try again. I needed those, I can actually do it again with the bombs, but the way I do it with bomb shoes, I needed those 3. It's why I saved those 3 bomb shoes until now, but it's okay. We can try it again. Not a big deal. What's up, Smoker? Sorry, I'm gonna try that again. I have actually had my own speedruns be at a really good pace, and then I fail that, and it just wastes like a minute and a half. But it's all good. Hey, Bocage and Chalk, what's up, guys? So I have to do this again. Normally you would need the long shot to cross this gap, but if you use the momentum you get from a horizontal hammer swing and equip hover boots, it carries your momentum and you can cross this gap. That's what I did before, and let's try this again. If you enter this door for the first time and you side hop left and just hold up, those guys will never clip you. Okay, let's try this again. So I get ISG from that door. As you can see, my sword is swinging there. That's active for every possible frame. And I line up against this wall. This may work. We'll try. Yeah, we're through. And now we are at the boss for Water Temple. So Water Temple is actually a fairly short dungeon in this speedrun. It's Duck. It's actually fairly more involved if you do the glitchless category or the 100% of the category. 100% run of the speed game, but for MST, it's fairly short. Oh yeah, for those of you who just joined us, this category is called MST, Medallion Stones Trials. It's basically like 100%, except we don't have to do any of the side quests like get all the Skulltulas, get all the upgrades. We're purely going into the dungeons, doing what we have to do and get out. And then an extra condition is that we'll be approaching the mini rooms in Ganon's castle, and we got to do those to dispel the barrier. And those rooms we call trials for whatever reason. So I'll need to equip the bow, not for this segment, but for later. Now, Morpher is a fairly straightforward fight. Having said that, though, I have lost runs to him, so I think if any of you ever start speedrunning this game, you guys will find you'll lose runs to anything. It's a general rule of speedrunning is, if you think you can't lose a run to something, at some point in your speedrunning life, you'll lose a run to that one thing. Right, Astrid? So we trap Morpher in this corner and then just stab him to death. Rude. So here we're actually not going to be doing a crazy wrong warp or a cutscene skip. The reason for that is, at least with the route that I do, I need to get fire arrows, but I can't get to fire arrows if the water isn't raised yet. Otherwise, I'd have to do some crazy hovers over. And the only way to get the water to hover is by triggering this cutscene. So we're just going to walk in the warp and let Rudo have a nice little chat with us. Oh, okay, so someone in chat just said the sages call them trials in the game as well. Ah, well there you go. It's quote-unquote canon. So we just walk in the warp now and,
show myself that.
Do we have any more donations, Astrid? No.
The total last one.
Okay.
I'm being fed.
Okay. So, I guess it's a bit of my personals with this category. My best possible time, my personal record with this category is 2 hours, 10 minutes, and 38 seconds. And that's actually been haunting me for like months now, because my ultimate goal for this category is to get under 2 hours 10. So I need to save 39 seconds, but I can, it's just, I've hit a mental block with it. So just like, you know, speed running, it happens. World record for this category is actually 1 hour 57 minutes. And the speedrunner that has the world record, called Marco, is just an absolute beast. He's just he's a French guy who comes along and he's like, I want to do that category now, and just somehow gets world record in it. And he's like, I want to do that category now, and just beats everyone. Basically, whatever category Marco touches, he will just destroy all of us. We've just come to accept that if Marco's doing the category, everyone's going to be down like a spot. He's just that good. So yeah, if anyone is actually interested in getting into speedrunning, all of us here, we all speedrun fairly different games and sometimes even similar games. More than happy to have a chat with any of you about it if you're going to get into it. And for me personally, if you want to get into OOT, you know, just come find me later, and I'll be more than happy to like tell you like what to look for and like how to get started and whatnot. Because the more runners we have, the better. It's a very nice community as well. Everyone's really encouraging. Everyone's willing to like help one another. And yeah. Hi, Michaela. So that's the cutscene I was telling you about, where the water got raised in order for me to get over and get the fire arrows. Now, at the beginning of the run, I actually took a 3-minute penalty because I accidentally loaded the wrong Ocarina of Time that I've got on my console. I only realized that until like the intro cutscene, which is about 3 minutes long. So yeah, we're playing with a penalty here, but it's all good. We can take it. Now, we need to shoot the sun here to get fire arrows, and yes, I actually have forgot to do this at one point. I wasn't paying attention, and I just swam all the way over to the pillar and realized nothing was there. And then I'm like, I forgot to shoot the sun. And the sun has to be at there's like a certain range of angles where you can shoot it to get the fire arrows, and if it goes over that, you have to wait a whole day-night cycle. So that's not fun. So now everyone on my stream normally reminds me at that point, like they just spam shoot the sun, and I'm like, okay, I won't forget now, thank you. Praise the sun, yes. Shout out to anyone who's into like Dark Souls. So we get fire arrows now, and we go back to the Temple of Time to watch the light arrows cutscene. Okay, we got no kids here. It's the abbreviation is LACS, L-A-C-S, light arrows cutscene. When I started speedrunning this, someone told me it was called long ass cutscene, and I actually believed him for like the longest time. And I kept saying it. Everyone's like, why do you keep saying it? I'm like, isn't that what it's called? Like, no, it's light arrows cutscene. I'm like, oh. And I approached the guy. I'm like, you lied to me. He's like, hey, you believed me. I'm like,
hey, the other cutscene name is accurate.
Yeah, it is actually a fairly long ass cutscene. It's like 7 minutes long. And if you watch this in English, you may as well go have breakfast, have a shower, brush your teeth, and come back, and it'll still be going. It's a big reason why we play in Japanese. It's just much faster. Any donations? Nothing yet? No.
Total hasn't jumped.
Fair enough. Anyone who's watching at the moment have any questions you want to ask? Be more than happy to answer a few. What's your question? When's the speedrun start, JLP? It's a casual playthrough. This is casual runs live.
This is as slow as we can go, folks. As slow as we can go.
But yeah, there's 3 common versions that people speedrun this game on. There's the Nintendo 64 version. I'm using the Wii Virtual Console version. Some people play on an emulator. We allow pretty much anything. Like if emulator's all you've got, go for it. we have some really, really good runners, like world-class runners who still play on emulator. Emulators actually got some disadvantages, but they just can't, like the funny thing is there's one speedrunner in our community. He's held world record in so many categories, but he makes it harder on himself because he plays on emulator. And we're like, why don't you switch to a console? You've got them. He's like, I can't be bothered. That's his legit excuse. He's like, I can't be bothered. So, yeah. I started playing on emulator because I wasn't sure if I wanted to invest the money into like buying a Wii, you know, getting a proper controller and whatnot. And then I think it's a really good place to start. Like, there's one French speedrunner that we have in our community called Flo. He is like, you know, top 5 in a lot of categories. He plays on emulator with a 360 controller. And a 360 controller is actually fairly hard to play with because there's no diagonals. Like, if you guys have a look at my GameCube controller here, there's like diagonals, like notches. The Xbox 360 controller has no notches. And there are some tricks you need to hit like fairly precise diagonals, but he's just like, I know what I'm doing. Well, he says it in a French accent, of course, which you know, he's cool though. Shouts to Flo, he's awesome. Huh? Yes, it is a soft modified Wii. Shout out Nintendo, please don't ban me. Yeah, just focus on your squids and your smash, and we'll just yeah, exactly. Nothing interesting happening here. They got melee happening, which is awesome. We did? Oh. So yes, if you guys haven't played this game, spoilers, Sheik is actually Zelda. Sorry, spoilers, you know, I have to be really careful about that. I always say, like, if you haven't seen it, avert your eyes. But a lot of the other, like, if Ocarina of Time isn't your favorite Zelda game, all the other Zelda games actually do have pretty active speedrun communities. Like, the next biggest one after Ocarina of Time is easily Majora's Mask. The Majora's Mask community is really active. We've got, you know, Skyward Sword, Twilight Princess. Pretty much any Zelda game, we've got a good community around. And, like, a lot of runners cross over. Like, some do both Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time. Some do just, like, Twilight Princess or something like that. Wind Waker. Any Zelda game you like, there's bound to be a community around it. So, well, Zelda gives us the light arrows here. And, now gets captured by Ganon, and we have to go save her. Someone asked in chat, did it come soft modded or did I have to do it? I had to do it. There's a lot of, there's a fairly easy guides online at the moment on how to soft mod your Wii.
Google is your friend.
Just search up Wii soft mod tutorial and it will come up.
Live charity marathons is not your friend for this kind of thing. Google is.
Yeah, exactly. The reason I had to soft mod it is because that's the only way I could play the Japanese version of the game. If I didn't soft mod it, I could only play I'd have to get like a Japanese Wii, and that could be fairly expensive to source depending on like where you get it from. So now we're going to be on to the final section of the game now, roughly. Yeah, so the Wii shop has been discontinued, actually. Oh, okay. I think so, yeah. So now it's like, this is the only way now. So, yeah, this is Ganon's castle that we're going to be doing the trials in. The trials are fairly self-explanatory. I'll just point out anything that comes up. If you guys have any questions about what I'm doing, just shout out. I'll answer them. Be more than happy to. If you have any donations, yeah. They won't give you the donation? Alright. Hold on. Alright, thanks, Softy. But yeah, we've had a lot of great speed runs this weekend, and we've got some really good ones coming up. So if you guys can stick around for a few of them, definitely do. Like, some of the games I've seen, like, I don't run them personally, but you're just amazed by what people can do with it. You're just like, whoa, alright. There's actually a way you can enter into Ganon's castle without spawning this bridge, but it requires a lot of explosives, so thankfully I don't need to do that. So now we're in Ganon's castle, and we are going to be doing each of the trials now. So this is the T in MST. Or often for me it's tears, because if I screw this section up, I ruin my run. So this is the forest trial. The hardest part about this trial, believe it or not, is aiming for these torches. I'm playing on the Wii Virtual Console version, and the aiming on this console is just horrendous. I don't know what they did to the dead zones on this controller, but it's pretty horrible, but it's all good.
The donation was a $16.05 donation from Anonymous with no comment.
With no comment. Thank you, Anonymous. So now I need to equip light arrows and equip hover boots. Because I need to collect these rupees. I'm going to bomb this Beamos guy because he can be a bit of a pain to deal with. Yeah, someone in chat just asked this question. I legit have no idea how the sages being dead are actually able to build a bridge, but it is what it is. I think we see Anonymous there. Thanks for the donation, buddy.
Did you know that the water medallion is actually the bottom of a water bottle?
I did not know that. I legit did not know that. Magic. It was all planned, guys.
I'll leave that there with you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so that's the forest trial done, and we're going to complete each of these rooms. The scariest trial by far is fire trial, only because you're on a timer, and that's why I got the fairy in Water Temple. Okay, so water trial is fairly straightforward. Normally what you will need to do is get some blue ice and melt that gap there. But we're actually able to clip through it, and we'll be using one of these trusty freezers to clip through. Ah, damn it. So this can happen sometimes. I get in a bad position, and then I have to wait for him to come back and stab him. Normally, with that position that I hold, I flick down right, and then I'm able to hit both of them, but these things happen. Now, and you also have to do this block puzzle. I actually don't, I'm ashamed to admit, I actually don't know how to do this block puzzle. I just know the speedrun version of it. You climb this side, target slightly here, and you're able to, whoops, maybe not quite. You're normally meant to get like a jump and climb up on the ledge. I think I'm a little bit too far over. Hang on. Let's try this again. This way a little bit. Good. And we grab that ledge. We can somehow jump slash through that ice with the hammer and hit that switch without having to get blue fire, sorry. Okay. And then I'm going to get some magic just in case, because every time you fire fire arrows or light arrows, you need magic. So that's water trial done. And they say something about like, you've cleared this room, now the barrier's going to be dispelled. Thank you, Chad. Thank you for the good luck. This, if you're on like a PB pace, this section here is easily the most frightening. Normally when I'm on personal best, I'm like really quiet, but I took a 3-minute penalty by mistake at the beginning, but it's all good. So now we're going to be doing the shadow trial. I need to equip fire arrows, and I'll need hover boots. So like I said, it's fairly straightforward. Nothing too crazy. It's just purely execution. It's like one last sort of, for lack of a better word, trial before you fight Ganondorf and Ganon. I get magic. There's actually a block here that extends a bit further out. It's why I'm not falling. I shoot this thing here. Okay, good. On my TV, I can barely see that. Thankfully, on this TV we've got here, I can see it. Loop! That was unintentional. My bad. What happened there was I climbed that block at a slight diagonal and fell off. That's okay. It's all good. Because the chest is right there. This gives us the golden gauntlets, which enables us to move like massive stone slabs that we'll need to do for the rest of this run. But like with anything in speedrunning, we've actually found a way to skip that. But it's very tight. and it's very, very scary. So I choose not to do it yet. It saves about 22 seconds if you can do it right, but I don't need to save those 22 seconds just yet, so I am not gonna do a risk. Okay, so I need to equip light arrows. You need to equip light arrows at the end of each of these to shoot that orb. I'm just gonna pick up these for now. I normally don't pick them up in a normal run, but just to play it safe for the marathon. More donations?
Christoph DJ Hero gave $8.88 and says, "Let's go, MikamiHero. Great to see you showcasing your mastery of OT speedruns across Australia."
Thanks, Chris. He's one of my real life mates. Thanks, Chris. You're a legend, bud. So now we've come to the hardest trial, fire trial. I don't know why this still makes me scared every time, but I don't know. It's just scary because you don't have a tunic, so you're on the clock. So everything you do pretty much has to count in terms of how you move. There is like a really, really fast way of moving through this this trial, but I'm just gonna play it safe. It's alright. I caught a bad cycle here, but it's not a big deal. That gap is just, you can just make that gap. But like I said, we got the fairy and water temple, so if we do run out of health, that fairy will revive us instantly. So that's why we need the golden gauntlets to move that slab to do that. But you can actually skip that and have another way of getting across, but it's very hard to do. I think I YOLO'd it once just to try for fun, and I pulled it off, and I'm like, I'm still not doing it, guys. I'm sorry. Kill the torch slug. I'm actually not gonna get that rupee yet. Oh no, that's not good. That's not good. Whew, that was close. Okay, I'm not gonna get that rupee just yet. I won't have enough time to do what I need to do, so I'll let the fairy revive me. The reason I left this rupee for last is because I need to do what's called a super slide across this gap, and by getting that rupee last, it puts you at like the exact angle you need. So we're gonna cross this gap. We need to do this super slide is because we don't have a long shot. The reason we need to do that jump slash as well is because that ledge is ever so slightly higher than where we are, and by doing a jump slash, we get like a tiny bit of extra height and land on that ledge. So that's fire trial done. The rest of the trials are fairly, they're not that scary anymore. Yeah, what's up, Chris? Thanks, buddy. So the next trial is light trial. There's nothing hectic about it. It's literally just move and finish. So I'm going to unequip hover boots. I will need Ocarina for this next part. So yeah, if you skip getting the golden gauntlets, in order to get through this slab, just like how I did the super slide there to get onto the ledge, there's actually a very tiny gap you can clip through with enough speed if you do a super slide. And that's how you do it by skipping the golden gauntlets. But for some reason, every time I see a speedrunner do it, they always clench a bit. So that tells me it's actually pretty precise, and yeah. We won't do it just yet. We got invisible enemies, it's alright. They're somehow still prone to getting hit by a sword and a hook shot. Those are all the enemies there. Thanks, Ace. Appreciate it. We'll get this chest here, and this next section, I've got a funny story to tell you about this one. So there's the Triforce symbol on the floor. We play Zelda's Lullaby to spawn a key. I had a friend who speedruns this game. He rolled at the precise angle, and the chest actually crushed him. But the thing is, he got the key at the same time it crushed him, but it wouldn't let him proceed. So he literally like soft locked it. So I've been super paranoid about that, and I try not to move at all. We didn't think it could happen. We were just like, oh, just see what happens. He's like, all right. Oh, well, that happened. But you won't know unless you don't try. So we get these rupees here, and grab the last one. Now, I'm not going to roll off. Actually, I'll roll off. I'll show you what happens. That boulder, okay, if you roll off straight away, that boulder will always clip you. So in a normal run, I wait like a split second. Just because of the way you move through that room, it's really consistent. So that's light trial. Hey, Bocage, what's up? Yeah, the other way you can move through that room is by doing many, many side hops, but I don't know how that movement works. Oh, is it actually? Okay, so someone in chat just said it's actually a legit strat, so maybe they use it for something. Okay, getting crushed by the chest, that is. So now we're on to Spirit Trial. For those of you who have just joined, we actually came to Spirit Trial as Child Link to get extra bomb chews. So the majority of it's actually cleared. And I fired a bomb chew right at the beginning, and this is the reason why. So when I get to that room, I'll point it out. Oops. So I'll kill these torch slugs for some extra magic, because light arrows take up a fair bit of magic when you use them. This switch here that I had to hit, if I didn't have any bomb chews, I'd have to do something called a weird shot. What a weird shot does is it puts your camera underground, and then you're actually able to interact with things whilst underground. But I fired a bomb chew earlier as Child Link, just so I'm guaranteed that switch is always hit. So now what we do here is I'll need to equip light arrows. I equip a bottle there because we are actually going to defeat the King of Evil with a bottle. When we get to it, I'll explain it again. But basically what happens is, sort of like with Phantom Ganon, how he unleashes his orbs, we normally have to get into a massive tennis match with Ganondorf. If you swing with your sword, if you do a spin slash, it covers like a horizontal radius. But if you just do a vertical slash, you've only got this one line. So it's fairly risky. But for some reason, the bottle has an insanely large hitbox that if you swipe your bottle, it's like as if you're spin slashing. And yeah, we can defeat the King of Evil with a bottle. It's a fairly safe strat to do as well. So yeah. So the trial's done, and that dispels the barrier. And we're able to go fight Ganondorf and Ganon now. But he's got like 3 other bosses for us to fight. But they're fairly straightforward. What's my personal best? No. So my personal best is 2:10:38. So we're definitely not going to hit that. But it's alright. So these dino foes can be really painful. You just got to spam spin slashes and they keep walking into it. So they're the first 2. The next 2 are 2 Stalfos that we fought like in Forest Temple. They can also be fairly annoying because of the erratic movement, but if I play it correctly, we should be fine. Good. You basically crouch stab them right as they're about to jump, and that exposes their legs a little bit. Ah, he's being annoying. There we go. And we need this boss key to be able to enter Ganondorf's final room. So we get the boss key, and then now we're going to fight these 2 things called Iron Knuckles. Now, Iron Knuckles are normally pretty scary because each hit they do to you costs you 4 hearts. And in some categories, you've only got 3 hearts at this point. So a lot of runners I know are like really careful. But there's actually a strat. By standing in like a very specific spot, you can kill both of them at the same time. So I'm going to try that now. Whoops, that didn't work. That was close. Alright, that was actually really close. They could have clipped me there. There we go. Yeah, I panicked there because I've had many times when they've like clipped me just by accident. It's heartbreaking, but it makes for a good laugh. So if anything, you know, if you fail a trick, it's for a good laugh. If you get the trick, it makes for a good run. So it's a win-win situation either way. So this is the final staircase before we have to fight Ganondorf. You can normally do what's called a Hess here, a hyper-extended super slide. But for some reason, doing it up the stairs is a little bit tricky. I've never quite got it, so we just roll up. Do we have any more donations? Checking out. Awesome. That last spin slash that I did against the double knuckles, you're not meant to do it. I just do it to show off. And it has cost me before. I've missed a spin slash and they killed me. I'm like, well, that's what I get for showing off. But it's all good. Oh, I've been doing this for the entire run and I've never explained what happens. In this game, when you crouch stab, the crouch stab's default attack value is 1. But if you do an attack right before the crouch stab and then proceed to only crouch stab, the crouch stab's value takes the value of the last attack you did. So if you do a jump slash with the Master Sword and then only proceed to crouch stab, all the crouch stabs will have the damage value of a jump slash Master Sword. That's why I'm able to kill those Stalfos fairly quickly, because I do a jump slash to store the damage and then just proceed to crouch stab. Obviously, as you transition through rooms and not, you'll have to like redo it. But in general, that's how we're able to make fights go fairly quickly. So we got the King of Evil here, who somehow has a piano in this room. I don't know how we got it up all those stairs, but you know, it is what it is. So here is where I'll show you defeating the King of Evil with a bottle. So he proceeds to like, do a ground pound. I'm going to store the jump slash like I did before. I put my bottle out and... Okay, so I got ISG there. That makes my sword active every frame, and by drawing the bow, it keeps the ISG frames inside Ganondorf, so he's able to just get stun locked. The reason I drew the bow is because Infinite Sword Glitch is actually stored not in Link's whole body, but actually in Link's left shoulder. So by drawing the bow, you sort of like lean into him and always keep him locked down. But yeah, so we defeated the King of Evil with a bottle. So yeah, Duck is our hero, and now we've just got the last segment, which is taking on Ganon. Yeah, and as someone said in chat, you're standing in the center of the platform as well, so there's no chance for him to go to Wimbledon with you. He will not have a game of tennis. It's painful when he plays tennis with you, because he will always win. He is like level 9 CPU, just reads all your inputs, and there's no way. So now Zelda is free. Normally in this last sequence, you're meant to run down the tower, but we're going to be doing one final glitch that allows us to skip like 3/4 of this collapse sequence. This trick is called Void Warp. As far as I'm aware of how it works, you trigger a loading zone as you void at the same time. So it kind of partially loads an area for you, and then as you load the next area, it will just skip a big sequence. That's not like the exact explanation, but that's like the best I can come up with. Now, I have lost runs to this area too, because the rocks that fall are complete random, and I need to grab a ledge and pray that a rock doesn't hit my hand. So let's see. Turn around. Oops. Hang on. Okay, so I need Megaton Hammer for later. That's the ledge. That was close. Okay, we're good. That was close. So this is what I meant by voiding and hitting a loading zone at the same time. We're actually falling through the tower now and skipping a big chunk. And if I move correctly, we have skipped a big chunk of the collapse sequence. So the worst ones I've been on like I've actually had a run that was on pace for a 2-hour and like 9-minute run, and as I grabbed the ledge, a rock spawned right above my head. I saw the shadow and everything, and I was like, there's nothing you can do about it. You just have to accept defeat. But it was one of the more heartbreaking ways to lose a run. Yeah, after getting through the whole run, doing so well, gonna be on like a really good pace, you grab the ledge, a shadow spawns, and you're like, I know what that is. I know what that is. So now this is the last sequence when the tower collapses. How this tower collapses is actually also quite random as well. On the Wii VC version, which is what I'm using, and the N64 version, there's actually a ton of lag when this tower collapses. Like, as you can see there, it like starts to stutter. There's actually a version of Ocarina of Time that came out only in China called the IQ. How the history with the IQ is interesting. China had a massive console ban because they thought, you know, banning consoles would stop kids from playing video games. So they didn't allow any consoles in China for about 10 years, but plug-and-plays were allowed because plug-and-plays are in the same class as like VHS and DVD players. So Nintendo wanted to penetrate the Chinese market. So they worked with a Chinese company called IQ, and they came up with the IQ player, which is effectively an N64, but it's a plug-and-play. And the Ocarina of Time version that came out on the IQ is actually, it's really well programmed in some ways, but it's also poorly programmed in other ways. One of the ways it's better programmed is that collapse sequence is actually lagless. It just sort of just falls through. So for a while, in some categories, the IQ version was actually the faster version to use. But for some categories like MST, it's still more viable to use the Wii Virtual Console version. So I jump slash there into the cutscene because Ganon knocks away my Master Sword, but I still need to be able to hit him somehow. Now, if I didn't jump slash there, I've got my Megaton Hammer. Every item defaults to 1, and it takes 10. So every item defaults to 1 damage, and I need to do 10 damage to go to the next phase. But Master Sword jump slash does 4, and I have a Megaton Hammer, and I'm actually able to crouch stab with the Megaton Hammer. So the crouch stab will do 4, so it only takes 3 hits versus 10. So he does his big growth spurt thingy. Knocks it away, and yeah. If you only have the Master Sword in some categories, if you do a super slide into this cutscene and hold your shield, he won't knock away your Master Sword, even though he does, but he doesn't. That's what I meant by with the crouch stab with the Megaton Hammer. So we're just rolling under his tail and hitting his tail. And now we get our Master Sword back. Shoutouts to the file named Duck. I think it was meant to be something else, but you know, PG and stuff. So we'll be compliant.
No, it was meant to be Duck.
Okay.
It's a it was a Kingdom Hearts meme.
Oh, okay.
Duck flare.
Oh, that one. Whoa. Okay. I'm playing this safe because if he hits me now, I'm dead. Nope. That was close. And time is on the final hit of Ganon. This one was pretty messy. I missed a few tricks. I had a 3-minute time penalty. But overall, it was fun. And I hope you guys enjoyed it, for starters. And let's see. The sword glows a bit. Done. That is MST. Hope you guys enjoyed. Whew. Thanks, everyone. So yeah, if any of you are interested in speedrunning Ocarina of Time, feel free to come grab me. I'll be around here the area for the whole day. I'll be more than happy to like point you in the right direction. And yeah, thanks, everyone. Whew.